All right, welcome to The Explainer. Today we're jumping into something really different. It's a self-published paper that basically asks us to take everything we think we know about physics and just kind of toss it out the window. It's proposing this totally new vision of reality where science and spirituality, they're not just compatible, they're basically the same thing.
So, this theory is called Repagular physics, and it starts with a question that's, well, pretty bold. It challenges the very foundations of modern cosmology. You know that whole mystery of dark matter and dark energy, that missing 95% of the universe that scientists are looking for? Yeah, this theory says maybe we've been looking in all the wrong places. Okay, so let's dive into part one, a new cosmic paradigm. Right off the bat, this theory completely flips our whole perspective on where we fit into the universe. And this right here, this is the core idea. And honestly, it's a wild one. The paper argues that we, you, me, everything we can see and measure, we're not separate from that cosmic mystery. We are the dark matter. The real reality, it says, is a huge white universe that we can only tap into through our minds, through consciousness.
So if you buy into that, it means all of our most fundamental science, from relativity to quantum mechanics, it's all incomplete, like fundamentally broken. Why? Because it's all based on studying our little dark universe, that tiny 5% slice of the pie, totally blind to the massive white universe that it's actually a part of.
So a huge part of this is trying to bridge these massive gaps that traditional science creates. It wants to bring together science and spirituality, what we can see and what we can think. And it suggests that the soul, well, it's not just some philosophical idea. It's a real functional piece of this bigger white reality. It's the connection between the two worlds.
All right, section 2, the Repagular universe. Now, to build this brand new reality, the theory basically has to start by tearing down some of the biggest, most fundamental ideas in all of physics. Let's start with the most famous equation of all time, right? E equals mc squared. Well, Repagular physics looks at this and says, that's the perfect symbol of our limited, dark reality. Sure, it's powerful, but in this new way of thinking, it's not some universal law, it's more like a local bylaw, just for our tiny corner of existence. And this is where things get weird. The theory swaps out Einstein's equation for these two new statements. Now, I know they look like formulas, but the author is really clear. They're not. They describe a process. You'll notice there's no equal sign, right? That's because it's showing a one-way street, a directional flow, all based on this core idea called repagination. So, what do these equations actually mean? Well, think less about math and more about transformation. The first one says that vibration takes matter and kind of programs it, turning it into energy. The second one just flips it. Energy gets repaculated back into matter. So the big takeaway is that these concepts that sound pretty out there, like vibration and programming, are being presented here as fundamental forces of physics, just like gravity. Okay, so to get how these processes are supposed to work, we have to talk about the theory's basic building block. And the author gives it a name that, it sounds like it's straight out of a comic book. Gravitonium. The easiest way to think about gravitonium is like a modern version of the ether, that old idea of a substance that fills all of space. It's supposed to be this single, continuous stuff that everything, and I mean everything, in both the dark and white universes is made of. So this stuff has some pretty interesting properties. The paper says it's continuous, it exists outside of our space-time, and it's the foundation for literally everything. It's like this one unified field that our science can only see little bits and pieces of, as particles or waves or forces. And get this, in this model, even black holes are just super dense clumps of gravitonium, so concentrated they've actually punched right out of our reality. Okay, next up, let's talk about time. This theory completely rethinks what time is. Instead of a river flowing in one direction, imagine it more like a programmable, layered part of reality. The paper has this really cool analogy. It says time is like a 3D printer. So step 1, our present moment right now, is like a single layer getting printed. Step 2, the next moment gets laid down right after it, creating a sequence. But here's the crazy part, step 3. The theory says that in the white universe, all of these layers of time already exist, all at once. And if you could make time itself vibrate, you could actually move between those layers. And this is where it gets really mind-bending, because if time is just a stack of layers that you can jump between, well, then the speed of light isn't the universal speed limit anymore.
All of a sudden, ideas like instantaneous travel, they're not just sci-fi anymore. They're, at least in this theory, possible. So you might be asking, why does any of this matter? What's the point? Well, the author wraps things up by laying out what they see as the real world, practical, and even spiritual consequences of all this. We're moving from pure theory to what you could actually do with it. But to get the applications, we need one last piece of jargon, a repagula. Here's the best way to think about it. If gravitonium is the universal computer hardware, then a repagulo is the software. It's the program or the algorithm that runs on that gravitonium hardware to create everything we experience, everything we see, touch, and measure. And this, right here, is the ultimate payoff of the whole theory. The paper claims that if humanity could actually figure this stuff out, we could unlock technology that sounds like it's straight out of a movie. We're talking tapping into gravitonium for limitless, clean energy, or even using our own soul, which the paper calls an intelligent repergulo, to directly manipulate the physical world around us. And it all ends with this really provocative sign-off. It perfectly sums up the whole mission of the theory, which is really to build a system where science and faith aren't fighting each other, but are just two parts of the same whole, a whole new way of looking at everything. So the question it really leaves us with is, what if the biggest mysteries in the universe aren't way out there in deep space, but are actually right here, inside our own minds?